because the Hostile Intelligence Service, the FSB, they're in your Kool-Aid 24/7. You are never alone in Russia.
So what was day one on the ground in Moscow like?
Day one is like when I landed and the plane took us from Sheremetyevo, then the motor pool driver took us from Sheremetyevo to our house. I was like a kid in heaven. I was like, this is the coolest thing in the world, driving in Moscow. I'd read about it. I'd seen pictures, and here I am. I'm going to be living there for 2 years. It was like, it's like someone coming to New York for the first time, that kind of feeling when I first moved to Manhattan as a pre-med and walked down Fifth Avenue on January 3rd.
It's a drug.
You know, I'm like, wow.
Yeah.
It just was so awesome.
Yep.
And then the work started. You have to do a lot of bureaucratic stuff getting started. You have to get visas, your official Russian visa. You got to get your shipments and all that. But I traveled to Ukraine 10 days after I got there for my first trip.
And what was that for?
That was to help people in Kiev. They were dealing with a lot of stress in the embassy. It's a very large embassy even then. And the leadership was pinging me every day saying, when are you coming? I'm like, guys, I don't have a visa yet. You need to slow down.
So you're dealing with a lot of stress.
Yeah, lots of high stress, high pressure. So finally, when I got the visa, we were still living out of suitcases, my wife and daughter and I said, I got to go. So off I went to Kyiv. And then when I got back, I was sort of trying to figure out how to see patients in the embassy. And I asked the regional medical officer, the primary care guy, and I said, I'm not getting a lot of patients. He goes, you need to travel and do your effing job. You know, get on the road, hit the road. So I said, okay. So then I started traveling, and then you travel constantly every other week, sometimes every week.
So are you just, you know, you're obviously people, like you said, they're in high stress situations. They're working serious jobs in foreign countries, in some cases, places that are slightly hostile in a way. Like, are you, I don't want to broad stroke this, but is it a lot of regular verbal talking it out psychiatry work you're doing with them, or are you dealing with also some more serious cases?
A mix. Most of the workforce is pretty healthy. So what you're doing is seeing what you would see in a private practice of working people. So anxiety, depression, ADHD in their kids, other stress-related illnesses, alcoholism. Usually people with alcohol and drug issues wouldn't come to us voluntarily until they got in like a frog in a pot of boiling water. They got in trouble. Something happened, and then they'd come, and we'd have to figure out how to get them help. So a mix of that, and then occasionally very serious cases where you don't have the care available, or they're suicidal, or in rare cases psychotic or manic, and you have to send them back to the United States for an evaluation. But I loved Russia. It's my favorite place, and I liked all the places I worked at, but I love Moscow.
Why?
But it's very stressful, if I may add, though. It's big. It's a city of 12 million people. It's the intensity. I used to tell my ambassador, who remains a dear friend, and the deputy, working for Embassy Moscow is like playing for the Yankees. Everybody's got to hit 300. No room for failure or losers. And the decisions those people make and the policy they support is on the front page of the New York Times and Washington Post and today's CNN and Fox News every day. So it's a pressure cooker. And then the Russians add to it, because when the Hostile Intelligence Service, the FSB, they're in your Kool-Aid 24/7. You are never alone in Russia.
Guy like you especially, too.
Oh, they were very interested in me, very interested. But you're never alone. Your house is bugged for sound and video. Your computer they get into, the local internet that you're using to,
Wait, you couldn't have your guys put some protection up against this?
No, if you wanted to have sensitive conversations, you had to go to special parts of the embassy that were shielded and protected. But in our everyday life, you're never alone. And they harass you. They follow you. I was followed all the time. You get pulled over driving home. The police would pull you over. Papers, passport, driver license. They're just doing it to mess with your head. to stress you even more. You're tired. You've been working all day. You're in the middle of a blizzard driving home. You're cold. You want to get home to your family. And they pull you over and you're sitting in the car for 40 minutes and they come out and say thank you. So it's all psychological to screw with you.
Did you learn surveillance tactics as a way to
No,
deal with
but I
this?
could pick up with it. I never took formal training. It wasn't required for my job, but you develop good situational awareness. Living in these countries, I had pretty good awareness, so I could tell if I was being followed, it was usually they meant for me to see them or people would pop up. I once had to be what they call the control officer for a medical officer from another agency. And so we would go out to the airport, meet them, ride with them to the hotel, make sure their appointments are all set up the next day. And when I was waiting for this guy, a Russian came up to me speaking the King's English. Dr. Dekleva, you're waiting for Dr. So-and-so. Can I be of help to you? I go, your English is beautiful, I said to him in Russian. Where did you learn such beautiful English? And he goes, well, I'm here to help. I said, thank you. My colleague is arriving on the flight. I appreciate your help. I gave him my card and said, do you have a card? And then he disappeared.
He just walked away.
He just vanished like he in thin air. So you learn to deal with that, but it's always there.
That's interesting though that they would.
Now, people who work there, a lot of people can't handle that stress. They're not set up for it. Most Americans understand that you have, even though there is no constitutional right to privacy, according to the lawyers, people believe there is. So there's an expectation of privacy. They're not used to living in a society like that. I had lived in Yugoslavia and that sort of stuff, so I understood how to handle it and navigate it. When I lived in Belgrade, I went out with the girl on a date. And there was a courtyard where this old grandma would sit there and she would watch everyone that's coming and going in our apartment. And I came back late at night. She was there knitting and I spoke Serbian. And she goes, Ken, that's a nice girl you went out with. You have good taste. I'm like, what? How'd you know about? She goes, she comes from a nice family. So I'd been exposed to that through my own upbringing, so it helps you kind of understand that that's the way it works. They're not going to hurt you, but in that sense. Now, in a terrorist country, that's different.
That's different. Yeah.
But it still psychologically messes with you big time.
Oh, sure.
So I would teach people to cope with it. You need to get out. Every 2 or 3 months, you leave Russia and you fly to Western Europe for a couple of days. You take a break, let your hair down, go to Paris, go to London.
You would tell this to people like in CIA?
Everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we actually increased the hardship allowance. I got Washington, my leadership, put it in a cable to increase. If you serve in tough places, you get a bonus, like danger pay.
Right.
Hardship, they call it a hardship allowance. So disease, counterintelligence, terrorism, crime, whatever. So we got it increased because of the psychological variables that I was able to document. The stressors on people were very real. People would walk in my office and burst into tears because of the surveillance pressures.
Who did you, I just want to make sure I understand this. So like officially, I don't know, the checks that are coming to you, your paychecks, is it the State Department?
Yeah, I work for the State Department.
For the State
Work
Department.
for the
but
State
you just
Department.
Deal with everyone.
Everyone that walks in my office could be a person that I could help or a patient. So sometimes it's helping their families. The officer, the diplomat's doing fine, but their families are struggling.
Sure.
The kids struggling in school.
So you're working with the families?
You have to. This comes from a special forces model of care developed by a brilliant family doc named Robert Marsh, who was he was in Black Hawk Down that day. He was injured with life-threatening injuries while he was helping the wounded out of that situation, and he was the first physician for Delta Force.
Wow.
And he said, in order to care for the operator, you must care for their family. Then they can focus on their job, on their mission. So I had read that and took that to heart.
Wow. Now,
so we're a medical. I used to tell in Russia we're the medical support system. We're like oxygen. When you got it, you don't think about it. When someone's choking you, then you realize you don't got it.
Yeah, you're almost the way you're describing it, and I can't remember. I think you might have said this off camera before we started, but you said something like there were 11 zones,
Yeah, 11 regional
11
people when I
regional
started.
people
Now
in,
there's like 2 dozen.
250 countries or whatever.
Yeah.
So, like you said, you're going all over. But in a lot, like, not to memify it, but it's almost you feel like a Mr. Wolf a little bit from the movie. Because there's a little bit, that movie, Pulp Fiction, sorry. But there's a little bit of like, you just got to show up, and it might be in this country with this person who works for this part of the government that has a totally different set of needs than the person working in that part of government in this country. And this one's got a family over here. So you got to figure it out on the fly, and then you got to be able to help be a problem solver for someone
you got
who's
to
in a
go to the
high-stress
people.
situation.
People don't naturally trust psychiatrists and mental health people. You got to go to them. If the mountain won't come to Muhammad got to go to the mountain. So
Thank you guys for checking out this clip. If you haven't already subscribed, please subscribe and hit the like button on this video. It is a huge, huge help. And if you'd like to check out this clip's full podcast episode, that link is in the description below or right here. And finally, you can follow me on Instagram and X by using the links in my description below.